Welcome to another episode of Practical Programming. Our today's question would be pattern with chisel. Chisel is the one part I will speak about us later in the tutorial. So the details for the question is like this. For a given number, create a pattern and the pattern should scale itself depending on the number which you have provided. So let's look at the kind of input and output we are looking for this pattern. So if the user were to write 9, we need to give an output in a form of a pattern like that. Something like this. I don't really care about the color. Nobody cares actually, because it's going to be in the console. So let's understand the problem. When we are given with a given input 9, we need to actually see what things are changing and what are the aspects we can work with to be able to scale our pattern. So if you look at it in a horizontal level, there are 18 characters, and the 18 number we get like this. So whatever the given number is, multiply that by 2, so we get 18 characters. So that's how horizontally that pattern is scaling from the given number, and vertically there are 9. So the vertical limit will always be a given number. So with that information, we can go ahead and start programming. But if you want to know what the chisel portion is, this is the chisel, and we're literally going to use it. Not literally, but in a metaphorical way, we would be using this. So let's get to coding. So let's create a class name in which we can write our code. I'm going to give another weird name. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing that so I can remember later on. So it would be pattern. Oh, my bad. Pattern with chisel. What am I doing? Okay, so now that we have that, you might think what chisel is doing over here. I may not require that, but I'm gonna force myself to use that. Okay, I don't want to come with a reason like this. Public static void main. So let's try to print that. If our project is still in running condition, let's wait for that. Okay, so project is running. So let's take a input from user, and to do that we use scanner. Private static final. Okay, private is to keep private, static is to for class level variables, and final is so nobody can change it. The scanner. Okay, here we go. Initialize that. System. Oh, my bad. If you hear a dog, that's not mine. Okay, and we need to take input from user, right? So scanner next int. This would be the given number which you are looking for. If I do alt enter here, it's gonna ask me if I want to make a variable, and this would be given number. What's wrong with that dog? I guess somebody's not feeding him. All right, let's check that if we are able to take the input given number. Oops. And I'll say given number. Let's print that out, and we're gonna test if this portion of the code is working. Yep, we are able to take the input from the user. Okay, so all we have to do is create a pattern. So let me do this. Print, or let me say create pattern, and here we need to give the argument which is for that given number, and I can say here I came up to this method which is not available, that's why it's in red. I'm gonna do alt enter. It's gonna say do I want to create it. I'll say yes by doing enter again. Now that we have that, we need to create stars. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, for loop. So every time you're dealing with pattern, and usually they are two-dimensional on console, so you would be dealing with two for loops no matter what type of question you're doing. Two for loops gonna come no matter what, unless you're doing something that I have no clue about, or it's very complex. So let's just write that for loop and write index, some index, and until given number. Have that. Let's print our star first. Okay, if I say 5, is printing 5 right now. All right, that's not what we want. How the way it how it's supposed to look like, let me just add that here in document. Okay, it should look something like this. Let me add tab here. So that is what you're looking for. Save that, so to keep that in our mind. So right now this is what we are printing. So we are printing for that given number, we are printing the vertical lines, but horizontally we know it's supposed to be 2 times that. So let's do that. So one line at a time. Okay, so I'm gonna do this for, oops, my bad, for another one. This is gonna be horizontal. Let me create some random name. Okay, I'll change that, and this would be given number again. Don't worry about it, I'll change this and I'll say S out and I'll print the star. Let's check that out. It's 5 to 5. What do we have here? So we keep printing it over and over until 5 multiplied by 5, like around, I guess it's around 25. That's not what we want. We need it to be, we need to break this. Okay, it's happening because we're using println. If you just use this print, it's gonna print on the same line. Okay, let's do that. I'm gonna say 5, enter. Great, what am I doing? So because I'm doing only print, it's printing on the same line. I want this to break after every 5 elements, so I'm gonna say S out here, println. So this is gonna break the line. Okay, let's print that again. 5. So we have it like this: 5 characters horizontally and 5 characters vertically. So that's what makes our solid stone. So while doing this, what I can tell you is how the chisel is used. If you look at the painter, he uses a canvas to do his painting, and blacksmith uses a stone and a chisel, and he chisels away a statue the way he wants. So I would say once you have this, okay, dots on a particular board or canvas or a stone, you need to chisel away to according to what kind of pattern you want. And the pattern which we want, it looks like this. Alright, so we know horizontally it is 2 times the given number, so I have to do something regarding that. Okay, to make this easy, I'm gonna do this int. Let me just rename this over here quickly. This would be vertical limit. Okay, vertical index, I would say. And let's come up with a vertical limit. Int vertical limit. So vertical limit would be equal to given number, and let's come up with a horizontal limit, because we know horizontal limit is 2 times the given number. Horizontal limit, and that is actually multiplied by 2. So first loop is dealing with the vertical one. Okay, so this has to be here. All right, and horizontal limit should come here, so we get twice number of elements, stars. And let me see, this is, I did shift F6 and I can rename this to horizontal index. Cool. Now let's print that again. If I do 5, we get our nice canvas or a stone, and we need to use chisel on it to get the pattern like that. So now that we have this information, we're always printing star. So remember, first outer for loop is doing vertical printing, and this is the inner one. So once it takes for the first line, this will happen, and then it'll go to the next line after this, and it'll do it again. So this is the only portion which is printing our star, so we need to work on this. need to create a if condition when to get the hashtag. Okay, let me just remove this so I can always see the pattern here. That makes things easy. If hard, okay, see on the first time, okay, when you're on first line, it skips the first item and then puts a hashtag. So if a horizontal index is you know what, it starts at 0, but we know index is always at 1. Let me do this one, and let me do 1 here. So to correct that, I need to increase this, so I'm gonna say equal to here and equal to here. Now that I know vertical index always starts at 1, so let's say horizontal index is more than vertical index, then only is going to print our hashtag, and in else is gonna print this star. Copy paste, cut paste I would say, I'm good at that. Let's run that, let's see what happens. If I do 5, I just ruined it. Why? It's because I'm doing print ln, I had to do print. Let's run that again, enter. So I guess what we got here is we handled the pattern on the left hand side but not on the right. We need to code that portion. So this is maybe working right, but it needs another condition which will take care of the right hand side. Let me say, and so what's going on here is, so the hashtag has to limit itself from the lower end as well, okay, once it reaches the limit of your horizontal limit. So we know what the horizontal limit is. Okay, so if horizontal index is okay, but it actually also depends on which vertical line it's on. So let's say if it's here, it reduces it by 1, here 2. So actually it's involved with the vertical index. If vertical index, if I just write this, if it is I would say this should always be less than horizontal limit minus vertical index. So what's going on is, I'm making sure, let me reduce this. What I meant that by this condition, what I mean is horizontal limit would in here would be 18, and if it index 1 here, so it will reduce it by 1. If it is 18, it will reduce that to 17, and we want the horizontal index shall always be lower than that number, and if it is, then it's gonna print this, otherwise not. So let's print that and check what's going on. 5. I guess we're kind of getting our pattern here, but it is off by 1 character. I guess this has to be equal to, it's not time for my glory because I made a huge mistake. I wasn't accounting it for 5. I guess that's about it. Let's have a look at our pattern. So first time it has 1, 2, 3, and last. Okay, all we had to do is put 9 and compare it. Let me rerun the program again, and let me come down here. I'll put 9. What do you know? I guess we did it. So now that we have our pattern, let's run that one more time and create with 40 just to check if it's scaling. 50 I guess would be fine. Oh my, that was too much for my screen, I guess. Is it? Yeah, it is too big. I can't show you completely. Let me reduce that to 40. Still big. I guess 30 should do the trick. Something like that. Okay, if I can scroll this just a little, can I see? I give up. 20. Fine. If you can see this, so we are able to scale the pattern by on a given number. So I guess that's all I have. What you can take away from here is, like, this is something pattern with chisel. Draw your canvas and slowly move towards what you want to create, and you will always have two for loop to work with. It's a great way to handle this kind of question, and usually asked in interviews, so you might want to check these. And I will put a couple of other patterns which I see on the internet, and I'll try to write that code and I'll put it on GitHub, and I'll put the link to the code on the description of this video. Please subscribe that I may make more videos. Thank you so much for your time, and you have a great day.